Do you think more people are going to come here? There is one part I wanted to do a little bit more life coaching. One of you would be interested after, but I don't know how it's going to work with the online. No?
Don't worry, you flow, and then don't worry. If you're not here, then everything.
Yeah, yeah, sure. How are you doing? Yeah, a good day.
Yeah.
So happy with the blue sky, finally back. The rain.
Yeah.
You both living here?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
4 hours.
Oh yeah.
4 hours series.
Oh, okay.
500. I'm from London.
You're from London. Okay. You plan to stay here for a while?
Yeah.
And it's cool here.
We need to spend time in the place.
It's better.
Sometimes moving on like so fast. So, relax, you know.
What brought you here?
We've been to Mexico. Right?
Oh yeah, okay.
And, like I was interested in the culture, the food.
Yeah.
I have a language I'm not favorite. I'm not fluent, but I'm
Okay.
so I say, yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's very open.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's easy.
Very restricted.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's kind of
great.
yeah. And it's exactly it's pretty much how I imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's typical.
Ah, cool.
Beautiful.
What about you?
It's time.
You teach? Don't try. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And it's very open here, so many subjects.
I see in all the groups like it's like some activities every like twice or 3 times a week. Sometimes.
Yeah, there's like
It's crazy, yeah. But
yeah,
that's
so many.
something I found really awesome about this place. Like the community is great. So many people doing so many different kind of things. You can always find the one that resonates with you and be active. I've been traveling a lot as well, and every time we felt like what we were missing is just some people to really connected.
Yeah, yeah.
And we didn't plan to stay so long here, but we really find this community like, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people said to me.
Yeah, well, I'll put that here.
Where are you from?
I'm from Belgium.
Ah.
Yeah.
I sent them the link, so
You need to accept them to get in, I guess.
this is the Zoom people. Yeah, for them to get live. It's okay if they're not here. They will tell them. Yeah, you can't wait for them. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Welcome. I'm glad to be here. And I just want to take 1 second to acknowledge you for being here now, because you could have been doing anything else, being anywhere else, but you decided to come here, show up for yourself, and hopefully get some insight to get a little bit better at life. So I want you to take a moment, just thank yourself right now, because I think you deserve to acknowledge yourself for doing this thing for yourself, right? So there are 2 ways to listen to me speaking to whatever event you go to in general. You can either listen for information and be like, yeah, interesting, I agree, I disagree, or you listen for insights. And you try to see what is a different perspective that I can get from this conversation, from this speak, right? And after with that, trying to do something with it. Because at the end, Derek Sivers said that if more information was the answer, we would all be billionaires working around with 6-pack abs, right? More information does not help in life. The thing that really helps is the moment we start doing, right? That's really I want you to go home tonight with some little things to do to make things a little bit different tomorrow. Sounds good? Well, this is going to be a safe space. We're not so many people, so it's great because we can share a bit deeper. And whatever we say here is just going to stay between us, of course. I really want to create this safe space together. The first time I heard this definition of self-sabotage was quite funny, right? Self-sabotage is when you say you want to do something and then you go about making sure it does not happen. It's quite interesting. What is the first word that comes to your mind when you hear self-sabotage? What would you say?
Self-abuse.
Self-abuse, yeah. What about you?
Fear.
Fear.
Me stepping in the way myself.
Yeah, stepping in
Putting,
your own
like,
way,
on the bicycle, like you put your
stick in the wheel.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When I was in the military, I was a platoon leader in the commando paratroopers, and I learned about different type of operations. And one of the operation was the sabotage operation, and I loved it because it was really fun. I mean, I would receive target and a simple order: destroy it, and don't be seen while doing it. So all those exercises that we were doing, I'm not talking real life right now. I'm talking about the exercise part. That was so amazing. I loved it. That was super exciting. Now, the first time I heard the term self-sabotage, it got me confused. Like, why on earth would people do some steps unconsciously or consciously to undermine the success? I mean, even take and do have behaviors that are destroying themselves. That didn't make sense at all. And so it got me thinking, like, well, wait a minute, do I actually do that? And I went into this reflection mode, trying to figure out where in my life am I sabotaging myself. And I'm like, oh, I remember that time I had an endurance test. I needed to run like a 10 kilometers thing for the army. And the day before, I just went partying and drank more than what I should. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that was a bit of self-sabotage. More recently, like when I started my coaching practice, I really wanted to work with people who were inspiring me. People, I was a little bit intimidated by those people. And I remember one time I was in an event and I saw a person who was like, oh, I really want to work with this guy. And I didn't dare to go to the person. And my wife was like, oh, he's there. Did you talk to him? And like, yeah, you know what? I don't think he's really interested in that. But I think I'm going to bother him right now. He doesn't seem really open for that. I was realizing, what kind of bullshit can I tell myself? This was actually self-sabotage, right? So I realized, wow, we all do that in one way or the other. Can you relate to that? Can you see some moment in your life when you actually sabotage yourself? So we're going to go there a bit after. But why do we do that? And that's where I really got thinking. The reason is not obvious, right? But there is always one. So I was thinking, okay, actually, we go through life creating a whole set of beliefs and operating system in reaction to the people, the event, and the situation that crossed our path, right? And with all this set of beliefs and stuff, we actually determined our behavior and what we do in the future. And this whole kind of protection mechanism that we put in place, as I said, is really there to protect us from danger, from discomfort, from pain, to avoid us to struggle in life. The problem is that we based all of this operating system from what happened in the past, and we use that to dictate how we're going to act and behave in the future. And sometimes when the situation in the future is changing, those set of beliefs and stuff is not really valid for what's coming next. That makes sense? But we still hold to that. Now, before we're going to talk about different reasons why we actually do this self-sabotage. Before we talk about how and why we screw ourselves up, I just want to give a little bit a different angle about thinking, what are your successes for the last week, the last days, the last past weeks, right? So could you think about what is your biggest win the last few days, the last few weeks? Yeah. And I would love to hear from you.
Well, today with the videographer,
yeah.
we did there was a what you call it, sacred geometry workshop.
Yeah.
Like we've been doing with people like this. A lot of people came. It was beautiful. We just launched it like essential, like in person. And then we had this idea of making it for people, to put on different channels and stuff. And we did it today. So that was a great moving forward. So.
Congratulations. That's great. Good job.
Thank you.
What about you? Do you have a big win, a success that you want to share with us?
I was invited to be part of a online symposium.
Okay.
That will happen March 2nd through the 4th.
Okay.
So that was a big thing. And I received today the list of things that they would need from me, bio, et cetera, et cetera. And so yes, first they asked me, and second I got the list, and I have no hesitation.
Good job. Congratulations. That's great. What about you?
I'm currently kind of changing my career. So I'm an English teacher online. I used to do it in person, but obviously with the pandemic, a lot of the teaching's been online. I recently finished a diploma in health coaching, and I'm going to transition to doing my teaching part-time. and starting my own health coaching.
Great.
So today, for the last few days, I've been learning how to build a website,
Oh yeah.
which is not my kind of thing, but I'm making myself learn a new skill. So beautiful.
Great. Good
art.
job. Good job. Yeah, that's a good step. Changing career and stepping into this
Yeah,
unknown.
change of location, change of career. Also a little bit more. I was in a long relationship for 18 years.
Wow.
And I finished that. It was a year and a half ago, but it's taken me literally a year and a half to kind of come out of my shell.
Wow. Must have needed a lot of courage to do that. Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you for sharing with us. That's great.
Year, that's it's a big step.
It is, definitely. Fantastic. Thank you.
Alone, so.
Oh, yeah.
But I've traveled a line before, but I haven't been in Mexico. So that's the right place.
Yeah. Yeah. But thank you for sharing. Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. That's great. And the first step into understanding and overcoming self-sabotage is actually to give yourself some love. Because why do we do that at first? Is to protect yourself, right? So we cannot be so mad about ourselves because at the first place that was there to not have danger, discomfort, or pain. So that's the first thing that I've always wanted to do, because we're like, what did I do? I'm so stupid. Damn it, blame me. Like, well, you did that to protect yourself first. So give yourself some love first, all right? Then different reason. There are so many different reasons, but there are 4 that stand out for me. The first one is sabotaging yourself for immediate pleasure. So, when we set a goal for ourselves, we usually set the goal for the future self, but that's the present self that needs to do the work, right? For most of the time, we've been evolving in an immediate reward environment in the evolution of the human history, right? But nowadays, there are so many things that we do and have consequences later, right? Before I was like, I do something is coming immediately. Nowadays, it's not really the case anymore, right? We get your paycheck, you get the money later, you do the work first, you want to get healthy, you want to work out. The benefits are coming sometimes later. And so it's not always easy when we don't have immediate gratification, when it's a long-term fulfillment, but in the moment we have nothing. So we set this goal for the future self, and the present self needs to do the work. So, for example, you're like the future you, or just want to be fit and healthy and sexy and confident walking on the beach, and the present you is like, I want a donut, right? This is the dissonance we have with both of the future self and the present self. And so sometimes when the reward is later, we tend to sabotage ourselves to have immediately something in your hands. Does that make sense? You can all see a situation like this. I think one of the most common is like, you want to be healthy, and then you're like, but I want this bag of chips or this ice cream because it tastes good, it feels good right now. And we kind of dissociate from the long-term satisfaction. Another thing is to stick with what is familiar. So we all have a certain, what we call the zone of comfort, right? If I look at a certain band, and we're in this zone, we are comfortable. We have a known amount of, let's say, of income, of joy, of adventure, of happiness. This is something that is familiar, that we are used to, and it's certain, and we feel like we can control it because it's always the same. And we all have a different set point for those things. But the moment in our life when we start getting above this set point or underneath it, start feeling a bit edgy. We're like, well, I'm not so used to that. Until the moment you're going to reach the upper limit. And when we reach an upper limit, unconsciously, your mind is going to try to do things to bring you back to a level that it's more comfortable for you. I don't know if you've ever been in this situation when everything goes so well. I mean, your bank account is like, wow, with your friendship, your relationship, everything is perfect. You're like, that's too good to be true. There must be a problem somewhere. And you start looking for what can be wrong in there and almost creating problems, right? This is something that we can be doing. So it's really sabotaging yourself to stick with what is familiar. Now, if what is familiar is something good and empowering, great. But the problem comes when something like destructive is becoming familiar. You see someone, for example, in an abusive relationship, maybe a friend that is in this kind of situation, and you like, as a best friend, like, please get out of his relationship. You try to support her. And after a while, this woman is like, okay, I'm done with this guy. I'm leaving it. And, so great. I'm not going to do that ever again. Then she meets another guy. And oh, you need to meet him. He's so cool. He's so nice. And you meet the guy. He's like, holy crap, that's exactly the same thing. It's just going to do the same thing all over again. Because it's something that is familiar. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, why would we do that if it's not good for us? what is familiar is so powerful in our brain. There's been also studies done on people who were broke and won the lottery. Those people who made millions like this. The majority of these people, after just a few years, they went back broke. They will have more money that they could use in a lifetime. But unconsciously, they just came back to something they know. And it's actually really difficult to change this set point. It takes a lot of work on yourself, right? So it can really happen. We sabotage ourselves to stay with something that we know. Another reason might be to prove yourself right. So as I said before, we create all these beliefs that help us see life through a certain way and that try to keep us safe, right? But sometimes when we have a certain belief, we might tend to reaffirm this belief, right? If you think like, I think I can do anything. And anytime I start something, I feel I can do it. I start with a really positive belief. Now, when we start with a really disempowering belief, then it can make it really difficult on the long term, because we're going to tend to prove that we are right with this belief, right? Just an example. I was giving a group coaching call last weekend, and suddenly I see in the chat, there's a guy putting, we were talking about money, and the guy is putting, money is pain. I'm like, whoa. I slowed it down. I called the guy, I put him in the spotlight, and I said, can I ask you a question? It's like, yeah. Are you broke? It's like, yeah, I struggle with money. I said, no kidding, you struggle with money. If you have this belief that money is pain, how do you want to accept money in your life? There's no way it's going to happen as long as this belief is existing there, right? This is one of many different examples, but sometimes, for example, you in dating relationship, you have this belief that all men are, or all women are, whatever it is. You meet someone new, and you're going to try to figure it out, and you're going to look really hard to find this trait of this characteristic in the person, because it's in your mind, it's in your belief. So you're going to do everything you can to figure it out, even if it's not there. You're almost making it up, right? So sometimes we sabotage ourselves to prove that we are right, to just verify our own beliefs. The last one I'm going to talk now is about competing commitments. I don't know if you ever heard this term. It's when we have two different objectives that are actually in conflict with each other. Let me give you an example with diet, for example, about health. And this is a real story. There was a guy who got diagnosed with a certain disease, and he got a prescription for some pills, and he had to take these pills for the rest of his life. He went back from the doctor, and he started taking the pills, and then he started forgetting one day, and then another day, and then he went back to the doctor, and the guy said, look, if you don't take your pills, you're going to die. It's as simple as that. You got to take them. And it was incredible that this person could not manage to take his pill every single day. Like, that doesn't make sense, right? And by going deeper in this understanding, they figured out that actually the father of this guy suffered really bad disease when he was aging and had to take a lot of medication. And this guy created this connection in his mind. If I take this, if I take medication, I'm going to die, because that's what happened with his dad. And the guy was really committed to live. But so for him, having those pills would mean death. And so although he really wanted to still living, he was also having this competing commitment that if I take that, I'm going to die, right? A simpler example, when you go to a diet, and like it happened to me with one of the clients I was working with, the person was like, one of my deepest value is freedom. Freedom is so important to me. And the person changing his way of eating, changing the nutrition, and after a while going back all the time, like, he said, well, why can I not do it? I just cannot get myself to do that. And then we figured it out. Freedom was so important to him. And going on a diet was meaning not being free to eat whatever you want. So he wanted to be free. He wanted to be healthy. But in his mind, those two were conflicting to each other. So we had to rechange the belief to make sure that with no commitments that we're competing to each other. Right? You have a question about those 4 different types? So competing commitments, proving yourself right, sticking with what is familiar, and immediate pleasure. Right? There are so many more, but I think those big ones, in general, a lot of things are falling into them. All right, so let's go through different steps to actually go over this self-sabotaging pattern that we tend to have. I want you to think about a situation when you're actually sabotaging yourself. Now, there are 2 ways to play with that. The first one is the obvious stuff. You know, when you're like, I know I should do that, but I do this. And you do that, and it's really conscious. Do you know a situation like this? Yeah. Okay. If you think about it for a moment, like, so it's a really conscious process. Like, is it for competing commitments? Is it maybe that I don't have immediate pleasure and I feel like, so I'm rather choosing something else that gives me immediate gratification? Or maybe it's to stick with something that is familiar. It's a bit scary. That's one thing. Now, I'm more interested to play with what is less obvious. So I want you to think about a situation when you feel stuck in your life. Something that you feel stuck right now. I feel like, I don't know why this keeps happening to me. You think of something? So I'm going to ask you this question. If you can write down on a piece of paper, that would be fantastic.
I'll grab it and maybe you can use this one and I wish we would.
Hi, thanks for joining. I hope you can hear me well.
Amelia, do you know her?
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I
This
cannot
is
hear you,
great.
but so you think so. You can do the same thing. Take a piece of paper and a pen, and so be ready for this question.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got it.
What
It's
is
great.
missing
Nice to be
in
here.
your life right now? What is missing in your life right now? And something?
No, now you don't. I think that.
Okay, now that's going to come a bit challenging and a bit more interesting. So you all wrote down on a piece of paper what is something missing in your life right now. I want to ask you, how do you keep it out?
Out? Keep it out. How do you stop it from manifesting?
Yeah. So you identify something that is missing. And I'm asking you to really think, how do you keep this out?
¿Cómo lo mantienes afuera? Eso que no estamos hablando. ¿Qué haces para que eso no siga conmigo?
Okay, feeling this.
Well, she said, did you understand that? Yes. Because in English, but do you teach Spanish? I mean, English? English, yeah, that's when, from like, from here.
Spanish is not so
Hasta
good
tu
to
maestra
teach.
English. My grandma, so I understand.
I know it's a tricky question, but I'd like to see you writing.
We know, deep down, we know.
Yeah. But usually, even though we know, we don't like to look at it because it puts us in the driver's seat, right? It puts us like, oh, maybe I do have somehow some responsibility for this not happening to me. Maybe I cannot actually blame the rest of the world, people, situations, and events for this not happening to me.
These kind of exercises are for brave people, I think. That's why, it's like not many people are brave enough to be here confronting our fears, and it's very hard to get to that point.
Yeah.
Even if the main thing I think is to get to that point. Like, you might still be doing the sabotaging, but the fact that you're conscious that you're doing it, that's the hardest part of it. When people stay unconscious.
Yeah.
They're unhappy.
Because it's hard to take responsibility for your life. It's hard to take ownership for what's happening to you. right? It's difficult. It's
Keep
challenging.
playing victim and oh,
It's
this
easier.
happened to me, oh, but
Exactly.
it's happening.
Why me? Poor me. Poor me. Why me? Right?
Change.
Exactly. Is there someone who want to share? You don't have to. I'm not forcing you. But if you feel like, you know what, feeling brave enough to share with us.
If you want to start, there's a person that's coming and she's lost.
Okay.
Which is
Yeah,
an
go for it.
experience.
Would you like to share?
Sure.
So what do you think is missing?
Well, a partner.
A partner? Yeah.
Partner. And I've thought about this a lot.
Mhm.
And first of all, I disqualified them the minute I meet them. They
Mm.
start talking to me, I'm already figuring out what's wrong with
Mm.
them. Or if I do like them, I play way too hard to get.
Ah.
And I know this started in high school when I wanted to be sure that I first would, before I got into a relationship. I'm Catholic, so and I'm older. This was the day, this is the day when you didn't have sex or close relationship unless you were married. So I wanted to finish college. I wanted to travel, before I got married. So I just, kept my distance, dated a lot,
Mhm.
but just, and that's a habit. Now I've been married 3 times. I have 2 children, but obviously didn't, but it's so prevalent now. I see myself doing.
Mm.
And what's even worse is I'm very specific about what I want in a partner right now. I would like someone who is a healing professional
Mhm.
and who would be interested in practicing and learning about. So,
Yeah.
now I have a very narrow.
Yeah.
They don't have to. And they can just let me do my thing.
Yeah.
They can do
So
whatever.
they have an interest.
Yeah, as long as they leave me, as long as they allow me to do what I'm doing, and
Yeah,
they're
allow
not
you
too
expressing everything
critical
you
of
want.
it, they can go do like real estate investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
That's very awesome.
Thank you for sharing. You want to share?
I was going to share about a relationship, but I thought maybe I'll leave that for another time.
You don't have to. Yeah, please.
So basically, my unconscious sabotaging is probably that I've known that I wanted to change my career for maybe 7 or 8 years,
Mhm.
and I just haven't. It's not that I don't enjoy the teaching. I love it. I love the children, but I just stuck with what was safe. I just stayed in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And also maybe like I'm 40 years old, so I thought, it's good enough. Why are you going to put yourself? Why do you have to keep changing? But my passion is self-coaching and nutrition.
Yeah.
And I see so many people ill.
Yeah.
And that's
It's getting worse.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
but I guess what did I put? The reason I was keeping it out was just staying in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for myself, like obviously improving my diet and doing whatever for myself. But now I've got to the point that I want to do it for other people.
Yeah. Thanks.
Before maybe I wasn't ready. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. We're gonna go after into different sources that where we can find the origin of that. Do you want to share with us too?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking the other day with Judith, like I have a lot of male energy,
Mhm.
so I go forward and I do, and and my female energy is pretty low.
I didn't get that from you.
I know people don't, but I do, and I do get to know myself. Like, I can separate myself enough.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, they say that, but I know myself. You can trick the whole world, but when you get to know yourself, it's like,
when you say my Elena,
Mm.
what do you mean?
like for example, I'm an astrologer and I'm Aries, like my sun is
Yes,
Aries.
my mom is Aries.
Yeah, my moon is Aries,
mom is
Mars
very
in
like
house one,
Yeah.
And at the moment, like if you look at the sky, in a moment we will see Venus and Mars, they are in conjunction. That means they are together in the sky, which is an invitation for us to balance those 2 energies. And there was a major shift. And that, it came with this guy, Feel Good, that I heard it resonated with me so much that it's like, okay, I have discipline. I get up at 6:30 in the mornings. I go to CrossFit. I weight. I lift a lot of weight and
Yeah.
all that. So I don't have a problem with that kind of self-sabotage.
Mhm.
But that interferes in my, for example, finding a partner, because guys, what is it that they like? No, female, like the female energy, the feminine. And I don't have that. I do, but I have a lot of the other one. So I'm all the time going.
Can I just slow you down 1 second to just challenge his belief, because it's like all guys want this female energy. Some of them don't.
No, but I
Some of
attract-
them have female energy.
Yeah.
That's what I
They want
attract.
Yeah.
Female guys that
Ah.
don't know how to survive, that
And
I
you
have
have
to
to-
listen. So I
Yeah.
know that's
Okay.
what I
Yeah.
know. So I wanna be this girl, this feminine side. So what if, like, instead of just going for everything and everything having to be so hard, and you have to strive and
My mom
strive
is so
and
like that. She's a
and you get tired as time goes by. So what if I learn to receive? What if instead of going to CrossFit, I go on a walk in the beach? I'm 5 blocks from the beach. What if instead of doing so much, I learn to lay
Let
back
it in.
and get not somebody else to do it, just I say, like, the universe is my sugar daddy because I'm royalty, it's like, why not? Why not learn to receive? Like,
Open the door to
experiment.
let it in. Yeah.
Yeah, experiment.
Yeah.
Maybe for a period of time.
Yeah.
Maybe I will not have my six pack. I will have my butt. So
It's
what?
okay.
I will be more curvy, more, like the
Yeah.
Venus is like this
Mm.
Adonis goddess that is
Mm.
eating, and being served. I said, oh, I like that idea. So I'm shifting into this other me that I have inside. My Venus is so covered. So I will stop sabotaging my relationships and being so. I think you got the idea. Right?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. It's great. Thank you so much. And I think when we looked, you all figure out a way that you keep this out of your life somehow. I want you to think, and you can put those 3 words in the paper: either fear, a belief, or a competing commitment. So fear, belief, competing commitment. Now, if you look at fear first, in general, our fears are going down into 3 categories. The fear of losing, the fear of the pain of losing something you have. Fear of losing something. The fear of the pain of the process, or the fear of the pain of the outcome. So the fear, either loss, process, or outcome. Let me explain a little bit those 3 differences. It's really interesting to see whatever you're stuck with in life or whatever you're scared of. It's really great to use these little 3 things to figure out, where is my fear coming out from? So the first thing, the fear of loss. I'm going to take again this, for you want to go on a diet, for example, and like, I'm scared to lose my favorite food, to not be able to have that. Just to say, your favorite food is not always the favorite food of your body. That's a good one. But a lot of people are like, well, if I do that, I'm not going to have this. For example, if it's for relationship, you're like, well, I'm scared to lose my freedom. For example, the fear of process. Give this example with a diet is easy. Well, what if I go in a program and it's so difficult and I'm starving and I feel bad and I feel crap and I just want to give up. I don't want to do it. Right? The fear of the process pain. And the last one is the fear of the outcome pain. What if I do this whole program for X months and then after I still don't see my 6-pack abs? I still don't feel great in my body. I still feel crap. What if it's not worth it? The relationship the same. It'd be, what if I found the perfect person, but after my life is miserable? So when we have a fear, we can really divide it in one of those 3 things. Okay, that was the first thing. The second thing is the belief. Could you identify a belief that you have, if it's the belief that is actually holding you back? And then asking yourself, how do I know? Challenging this belief. The last one is the competing commitment. Can you identify maybe a goal that is conflicting with this other goal that you actually have? Okay, so try to think for the what's missing, what you put just in your paper before, if it's either a fear, a belief, or a competing commitment that is kind of holding you back. You can identify, maybe it's all of them, maybe it's one of them. Could you identify one?
No, they're mixed up.
They mix up. Yeah, that's a mix of different things. Yeah. Mm. All right. Great. Now, it's okay? Yeah. There are two more steps I want to take you through. The next one is to challenge your thinking. And for that, if one of you would like to do it live together right now, just see where it goes. Who feel comfortable to share the fun of it?
Wow.
Open to it?
Okay.
If you don't feel comfortable saying something, you just
Stand up.
no, you can just say there. It's perfect. Yeah. Just I'm going to ask you a few questions and just let it out. Let
Go
it go.
ahead.
Let's see. Lucy, let's say that we are 3 years in the future. 3 years have passed, right? And I meet you randomly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you, how is life? And you're going to answer me with those words. Oh my gosh, life is amazing. And then you start saying, okay, let's do the role play. Sounds good for you?
Yeah.
You play that? How, Lucy, how are you doing? So good to see you. It's been so long. How is life?
Yeah, it's good. I made my career change. I've got a successful health coaching business.
Great.
I moved to a new location. I've met loads of people that I feel really connected to. My health has improved. I feel satisfied with my life. I feel like I'm giving back to the community. And I feel like I have a place in the world. I
Great.
got the chills.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's my projection.
Yeah.
My manifestation.
Hmm. Why is that important for you?
Why?
Why is that? Yeah. Why is that important for you to create this different life that you have right now?
Because I've come to a point in my career that I feel like I really want to change.
Yeah.
But I think I've been holding it back for a good few years. So I wanted to change locations for a long time and then make some connections because I've traveled a lot and I've changed locations a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually realized that I got a bit tired of it.
Mm.
So to put some roots down.
Yeah. And you said you want to give back.
Yeah.
Why is that important for you?
Because I think the world needs it more than ever right now. And I've been through my own problems and I've worked through them.
Yeah.
I'm halfway there, I'm all the way there.
Mhm.
But I think that's what would give me satisfaction, and that's what's giving me satisfaction. Give back and help people who are maybe at the beginning of their journey activate, you know.
Yeah.
And having, like everyone, suffered pains and upset, I think that I'm quite good with reading people. Yeah, can help.
Yeah. And how do you feel the calling to help people?
How?
Yeah, like what is behind that?
Basically just because I've experienced help from others
Okay.
when I was in places, and that's what shifted me.
Mm. So
I would like to do that for other people.
yeah.
Before I didn't have the feeling that I was in a position to help.
Yeah.
Because I was still healing a lot of myself. Now I feel stronger.
Yeah. I love a sentence that says you cannot bring a client as deep as you're willing to go yourself, right? So we need to do work on ourselves first before being able to give to others.
Process.
Yeah, definitely.
How can you know? How
Yeah.
does it feel if you haven't
Yeah.
come from the bottom and come up?
Yeah. So I love this idea, new coaching business, new location when you feel great, giving back to the people. What would be the cost for you to not do that?
The cost.
Yeah.
I think my life would just be a kind of repeated cycle, and it would be stagnant and static.
Mm.
And okay, I'm not totally unhappy in my present
Yeah.
job, but I think I would always think, come on, you know, you just didn't go for it. And there's that in the back of my mind, and it's been there for a few years.
Yeah.
And
Could you
I
also,
don't know
sorry, I
why.
pause you 1 second. Could you also relate to that? This moment when you feel like your life is a bit a cycle and it just comes back, and then you have this void in your mind that says like, if you don't do that, you know, you'll regret it. Right? It's a bit this.
yeah, and I can't blame like the long relationship I've been in, because that was also my choice to stay in it so long, but that really held me back in terms of my own personal progress and growth.
Yeah.
That's partially my choice, but now I've got no excuses because I'm like on my own.
Yeah.
So the only person that would be sabotaging you would be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
I invite you to really,
Making-
sorry.
and spending time with myself and being out of a relationship. Obviously, if it was the right relationship, I wouldn't feel it's so good for me at the moment. I'm like so free. I can breathe.
Yeah.
That's just the proof that it wasn't working for me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I think there is a really powerful question to ask yourself, or when we put some objectives, some goals, or whatever it is, usually we fail to ask ourselves, what am I willing to struggle for? Because you know, you want to be, I want to play guitar, or I want to do this or that. Am I willing to struggle to get to this objective that I really want to do? Because we know it's not a, I mean, it's a bumpy road, whatever you want to do in life, right? It's okay. It's just how it is, right? But sometimes we don't actually say, I want this, I want that, but actually I'm not ready to struggle to get there. I'm not ready to actually commit to get there, right? So when I was asking what's the cost of not doing it, well, this unfulfillment and unsatisfaction about yourself, right? I think we can all relate to kind of this kind of feeling, you know, I want to get there, but if I don't do anything, I'm going to be.
But it's also valid, like not wanting to, like having so much effort in life to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Like if the cost is too high, like if the price is too high, right? I know that it might
Yeah.
sound like mediocre, but that's a little bit what I was saying before. Like I had so much effort in life, like throughout my whole life. I said, no, it's enough. And
Yeah.
I'm, like enjoying, I'm gonna be enjoying just like simple, simple things, right?
I think it's really important to be clear on that. When I work with people who have big businesses and they're like, yeah, we're gonna work so hard to do that, and I'm like, are you really willing to put all those dollars for that? Well, your family is what you say is the most important thing for you. Like, you know what? I'm not willing to struggle with my marriage and my kids for the sake of this objective. I'm not going to do that. Right? It's just about to see everything into perspective. Now, let me ask you, what is standing between you and this goal?
My own self-belief.
Okay.
It's like I can see myself doing it, but then there's a gap between seeing yourself doing it and actually doing it. So on paper, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm doing website, I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
But practically getting out and doing it, that's what I'm not good at. I can speak, I can produce it, but I need to network more.
So could you give me the perfect recipe to fail at getting to your objective? The perfect formula for you to fail, what would that be? For you to not reach this goal? Give me different bullet points.
Probably compare myself to other people that are currently doing it.
Compare yourself to others.
And thinking, oh, but I won't be as good as them.
Yeah.
Or there's so many people doing the same thing. Why can't you be interested in me?
That's one thing, comparing yourself to others. What's something else?
That's like a main one for me, probably. Main thing.
Okay. You said networking, for example.
Yeah.
Not going out there, not talking to new people.
Yeah. Just staying with the same friends.
Yeah.
Basically. And maybe also hanging out with people whose values are not aligned to the person that I want to become.
Yeah.
Like I'm not so interested in doing the things I used to do 5 or even 10 years ago, going to bars, drinking excessively, this kind of, I'm just so not interested in that.
Yeah.
Occasionally, yeah, but like 5 times a year, maybe. I'm not, it just doesn't.
Yeah. I want you to keep thinking a bit about that. I want to ask for the rest of you, can you think of what is your perfect formula to fail? Like, for example, what you shared with us before, the perfect formula to not get where you want to be is like to keep judging a man that comes to your life in 3 seconds and say you out, right? To not give them the chance to see maybe there's more, right? To not, because I know it's scary, right? That would be one of the best formula to fail. For example, I know what comes up for you, but I would say for myself and my business, that would be to not allow myself to dare to speak out loud, to share my message, to dare to go in front of public, to dare to talk to people. As I said, this little example at the beginning, just daring to be me and to be loud about what I stand for. Right? We all have this kind of little recipe, this is a formula for failure.
Also, especially if you get to know yourself and theory, like
Mhm.
for example, I come from the family with this word matriarcado, matriarchy. How do you say it?
Matriarch.
The matriarchy, right?
Mhm.
So
Your
it's like,
mother was quite dominant.
right. So
Yeah.
I find men to be like useless and this and that. So then same as her, you know, she might come from there. Oh, who knows? He's like, you're not good enough for me. You know, it's like,
Mm.
really? It's like,
Yeah. Not
Like-
strong male role models.
right, shifting like that. It's attracting different, you know.
Yeah. So
Mm.
remember this question I asked you at the beginning, like what is missing and how do you keep it out? From how do you keep it out, you can really see what is my perfect formula to actually fail at reaching this goal. And it's a really fun exercise to do because you're like, oh my gosh, if I keep doing this, I'm for sure not going to get there. That's really giving a lot of,
Like keeping
Thanks.
like having all these theories that it might be true, but like, so what would you suggest then? Like, because these are theories and like self-knowledge, which is actually true at the moment,
Yeah.
but then you have to transmute it or maybe disintegrate it or like to bring some new ones.
Yeah.
it's always difficult
Like
to,
what you
we cannot
said.
say, I'm going to not have this belief anymore, for example, because that does not really work like this. We have to rewrite beliefs. That's more that. Like, I'm going to write another belief on top of this one that is more empowering, and I'm going to test it out.
Yeah.
It's all about doubting your doubts, right? If you cannot kind of believe in one thing.
Like you said at the beginning, when you started talking, a lot of our beliefs and values are based on things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
Traumas or just experiences, people we met. And that's what we're dealing with. So
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to give you a metaphor for that.
like you just gave an example. You grew up and your mum was quite dominant. So
That yeah, that's me. It's coming from me, not her. It's okay. but
it's not true then.
my mom. Well, maybe in some parts, some aspects, but not really. It's come from me, from my previous lives and everything.
Okay.
Like I,
Oh, the
being-
matriarchy thing didn't come from your family.
no, being an Amazon, being, you know, like.
Okay,
from-
okay,
yeah.
I understand. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think best way to move forward is to identify what is the perfect formula to fail and actually not really do that, right? And we're going to do this little thing after. Now, when you identify what is standing between you and your goal, you kind of know what you should be doing to get there, right? It's at least a bit clearer. And once again, it's never really about having a final clear destination, but always about having a good heading. You know which direction I'm going to, to be sure it's aligned to where you want to go, where you want to end up. Now, adjusting course on the way, obviously. Okay, so regarding to what you wrote down about what's missing, could you see a commitment you can take with yourself, something you can declare to yourself, or even an action step that you could take that's going to lead you a little bit further there towards reaching that? Love you to write that down. Great. So the last part is actually making a plan. Making a plan, because if you don't live with intention, you're settling for random, right? If you don't live every day knowing what you want and why you want it, you just let life happening to you. And usually we take on the agenda of others and we're just following what others are putting on us instead of us creating the life that we really want, right? But sometimes we keep doing things and they don't work. Einstein said, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result, this is called insanity, right? So if you want things to be different in your life, you got to do different things in your life. That really makes sense, right? So that's what this first thing, this first little step that you put down on the paper, or this first commitment with yourself, or declaration, like right now I declare that, blah, blah, blah. It's a great start. The second thing about the plan is sticking to the plan. Because a lot of us, we put papers, I don't know, you're all in personal growth somehow. So, you know, we have these papers, you write things down, you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you don't do anything about it. Because still, it's scary. There's fears coming in. There's this belief that are still there. And taking action to step on that it's quite tricky. But that's the fun part. We need to get good at being uncomfortable. There is no life going with full comfort from A to B, right? It does just not happen like this. So we just need to be good at being uncomfortable. Comfort is overrated anyway. Everything that you want to really make happen amazing in your life is a little bit outside the comfort zone, right? It's just not me saying it. It's just how it is, right? We all know that, because we can see in the past, whatever we created, we had to take this little edgy, dangerous step that was really feeling scary at the time. Usually we're really glad we did it. So taking this action or rewriting a new belief is going to be the next thing for the plan. So I want you to think of two things. What do you need to do to succeed? But more importantly, that would be an exercise for you tonight when you go back home, to create an avoid at all cost list, right? Usually we have to-do list. What do I need to do? What is also super powerful is to write an avoid at all cost list, right? Why do I really need to avoid? For some people, you're like, I need to avoid binge watching on Netflix. I need to avoid hanging out with those people. I need to avoid playing small and being shy. I need to avoid not connecting with any people. I need to avoid shutting down people when they come to my life. I need to avoid letting opportunity in, whatever it is. Okay, I think that's an exercise that takes a bit long time to really figure it out.
But you said something else, like rewriting a new belief and then avoiding at all costs.
This avoid at all cost list instead of the to-do list, right? So whatever you feel a situation in, like, I feel I'm sabotaging myself, like consciously, you know it, you figure it out. That's one way. The other side is when you feel stuck. This is also a way of how do you keep this out of your life? The first thing is to identify, am I stuck because of a fear, like losing process or outcome? Am I stuck because of a belief? Am I stuck because of a competing commitment? Or maybe it's a mix of all of it, right? That's usually one of those. Then challenging your thinking. Okay, what do I really want? And why do I want that? Am I really ready to commit to get there? Then figure it out. What is standing between me and this goal? What is going to be my perfect formula to fail? Maybe you're even following that right now, like, oh my gosh, if I keep doing this, of course I'm never going to get there. The last part is to make a plan. To make a plan and thinking, if you want things to be different, you got to do things differently. That just makes sense. It's uncomfortable, but that's the way to go. So creating this avoid at all cost list or your plan to success. Now, I want to wrap up this saying that we sabotage ourselves to stay safe, right, all the time. This is just a protection mechanism. So give yourself some love when you find yourself in this kind of situation. This is the most important. We create in our life all this set of beliefs. To give a metaphor, it's like, imagine that you get in a plane and you sit down, you put your seatbelt in, and you see through the cockpit that there is a 7-year-old at the stick. What would you do? You would get out of the plane immediately, thinking it's not going to be the pilot. Well, the funny thing is that most of us are living your life ruled by your 7 years old, because all the beliefs are kind of made in the first years of our life, and all those beliefs that are made in the past, we still use them to go in the future, which just doesn't make sense when the situation changes. So it's really like, what was serving me before maybe is no longer serving me now. And when we can identify that, we can empower ourselves to release these beliefs and create new ones that are more empowering. We got to tell our mind what we really want to do, because our mind just wants to protect us. And sometimes just by saying it out loud, it's just saying, like, you know, when you feel like, I need to work out, but you feel like I don't want to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And the mind's like, whoa, feels like you don't want to do that. Don't worry, buddy, I got you. And then start making you feel sick or making you, I don't want to do it, and helping you to not do something you don't want to do. But if you're really clear about what you really want, and it's getting easier to do the steps and make you go there, right? Your mind is really trying to make you behave accordingly to the emotion that you have in your body. We can really change that by being more conscious and aware about what we really want. The last thing I want to say is that if you don't do anything, nothing is going to change. I keep saying that's in the beginning. Like, you can either listen for information, agree or disagree, or you can listen for insight and actually do something after, when you go back home, tomorrow, the day after, the week after. But that's the only way to do it. And it's time to do. It's really time to do. 3 years ago, I found myself in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was on a tree, just surviving an earthquake when a tsunami hit. And I was on the beach, and I got really, really, really lucky to survive. 4,000 people died, and I did not. I was just thinking that day, wow, I've been waiting so long to create things I really want to have in my life. Why? Why are we all postponing our best life for later? Because we really have this illusion of time. Like, I'll do it later, next week, next month. I just got this wake-up call. Yeah. That was a good reminder to say, like, don't wait to live your best life. Find out what makes your heart sing and do what makes you feel alive every day. And that day I promised myself, I'm going to live every single day of my life to the fullest and inspire others to do the same thing. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, because I have this big message that I want to share with others, because I got a second chance in life, and nobody will, not everybody will, right? And I'm not going to waste mine. And I really want to tell people to not waste theirs. So that's really my message right now, is don't wait to live your best life. Can start today, can start tomorrow. Now, we know we worked a bit on these things of self-sabotage, a bit of goals and what can be in the future. You got to make it happen. There's no time to wait. No need to wait for your life flashing by in front of your eyes and be like, oh shit, that's going to be too late. Got to do it now. And I know it's scary. It feels scary, and that's okay. So I want to share with you a little poem from Guillaume Apollinaire, just to close this talk now. It says, come to the edge, he said. We can't, we're afraid, they responded. Come to the edge, he said. We can't, we will fall. Come to the edge, he said. And so they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maxime.
Thank you for you on Zoom. I hope you could hear everything that we said. Thank you so much for joining.
And thanks, guys.
Thank you. It was great.
And thank them.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
It was lovely.
Can I ask you, what is your biggest takeaway from this conversation? What is conversation? All of us, if you want to share, I would love to hear.
Move out of allowing or letting past experiences affect me in the present.
This is gone.
It's gone.
I love
What
it.
am I doing? I'm like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
this happened.
I love those words.
I need to let it go.
I love those
I'm in the
words.
process of
Yeah.
letting things go.
This is gone. Yeah. You spend so much time reviewing the past and rehearsing the future instead of kind of being right now, right?
Yeah, power of now.
Yeah, definitely.
Read it, but didn't resonate.
There is a moment. Yeah. I read it too, and then was
I've
like,
read it so many times, and I'm still not doing it.
yeah. It's a process.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a process.
I have consciousness, at least.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. What about you?
The concept of competing commitments.
Yeah.
And a question is, then how do you prioritize? You see, you have competing commitments, more than one even.
Yeah.
And then the process to prioritize.
You know what I like to say is that when we fix an objective, I love to add a little, I don't know what we call that in English, but like a little extra sentence next to it. For example, if I still talk about nutrition, I'm going to change the way I eat and I will feel more free than ever. Or I'm going to make $1 million and it's fun and easy. When we put this little condition next to the goal, yeah, it's a condition. This is how I'm going to make it happen, because what would be the point to say I keep the money in, but like I'm going to make $1 million and I'm going to lose my marriage and never see my kids anymore and get super unhealthy. Even though you have $1 million, it's not worth that, right? So be like, I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to make whatever it is, and then you add your condition to it, and this is the goal you're really going after, right? This little sentence extra, this little condition is so powerful for goal setting, and I love it.
It's the driving force.
Yeah.
Say it again. Sorry.
Yeah. So instead of just stating your goal and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there, is to add a little condition to it. Like I'm going to 10x my business and it's fun and easy. I'm going to 10x my business and I'm going to enjoy more quality time with my family than I've ever done before.
All
Right.
Because that's one of the conflicting, like for example, this is what I was born for. I love doing this and we meet every Tuesday at 7 and there's like from 5 people to 40. It varies it's okay. I don't mind like I like quality more than quantity, and I think it's every person is very important. So I would do it every day for me. But I have my 7-year-old who I leave alone, you know, when I'm here. So it's like those are my conflicting so I would have to it's a tough one for me. So like
so if you put the objective and you put something a little condition behind, and then your mind suddenly starts shifting to how can I make this happen in the same time, and that's where you get more creative to get to a good solution that works best for you.
I know that feeling because I have a son. You do? Yeah, he's 18 now. Okay. But I remember when he was and I was like just constantly guilty. Part of me was I didn't plan to have him. I wasn't, I was 23, so I wasn't young. I'd done my university, whatever. But at the same time, probably I was kind of like trying to still fit in my old life. And, it was like constant.
Which guilt is a programming.
I think mothers tend to feel guilty.
Right.
So my mum told me this. Well, she like trolled me. I can't blame her, but she like said, "Oh, as soon as you're a mother, you'll feel guilty forever."
Right. But it's a part of the ego. It's a programming of the ego. So I'm trying to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Like it's like
You're doing
if
an
I'm
amazing
happy,
thing.
he's gonna be happy,
Exactly.
Like that.
And it's good environment for him.
He's with video games. I
It's
don't
very
think
no. I did, what's his name?
Tommy.
Yeah, he's quite grounded. I met him. I just said hello, and the way he looks, he's very like.
Let's actually, what would be your biggest takeaway from
Very
tonight?
beautiful. Remind me of my son actually. When I was young, like this age.
Well, for me, like as I said, like so many people coming on Tuesdays and they couldn't come for the talks and speaks in Spanish, and there was so many people left out. And today was the first time, and of course it takes some time for the spiral to ground and to settle, and but I'm doing it. Like we did that today with her and with the other girl, and so I'm brave. I know I do it, and I need to figure out a little bit more exactly what I want, and rewrite the new beliefs.
I really like what you said. I need to figure out exactly what I want. For most people, they don't know. Most people, they live a life without knowing what they really, really want. And that's an amazing question to ask. Even with couple, they're together for 15 years. Like, what does your wife really want? Or what do you want? I don't know. Like, even for you, and it scared the hell out of people when you ask, what do you really want? They're like, never thought about that. I'm doing by default what the society is putting on me.
Basically, it's who are you?
Oh, that's even more challenging.
That's what it is, though. If you
Yeah.
know who you are, you know what you want.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, who am I?
Yeah.
That's like a thing.
Yeah. And that's funny because we identify ourselves with our body already, with our work, etc. No, if you change work, you're still you. If you because if you lose your arm, you're still you, right? So we realize, like, oh, that goes far beyond everything. That's another session. Yeah. But I find it really interesting to know, what do you really want?
Yeah.
And I keep asking myself all the time. And I kind of see it as when a plane is taking off and going from A to B, is never really on course. It's always correcting to get there. There is not a straight line. It's somewhere there, and it's correcting all the time. And that's how we kind of live our life, right? We need to adjust all the time and keep moving.
That's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something that you said that made
Very
me
good
feel
metaphor.
a lot of peace. I don't remember
Mm.
what it was. It was instead of just going there, it was like something in the process, like
Yeah.
I guess, but
Great. Yeah.
settled.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here
Thank you.
tonight. I really appreciate you. Avec grand plaisir.
Okay.
Thank you. It was great.
Thank you all. I'll send you the recording. Bye bye.